Hello everyone, this is part 55 of What If Naruto Meets the Nine Tails Early, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Well, you were right, Naruto. Konohamaru just got the jutsu down this morning, commented Iruka as he and his former student were enjoying a ramen lunch. I told you he'd get it down in no time, replied Naruto. So does this mean that you're going to let him take a C rank mission? Well, I kind of promised I would, and I've already talked with the Hokage and got one reserved for us. It's a simple mission, but it's a starting point for him, said Iruka. It's a delivery mission to a village a few days away. They are apparently having some trouble with common criminals and have ordered a sizable portion of supplies for the local law enforcements to deal with the criminals, but they are afraid the bandits will try to rob the supplies on the way there and use them against them. With the number estimates they've sent us, I shouldn't have any issues with the bandits alone, and perhaps it is time I give them some combat experience, said Iruka. At least it's something that I can handle with relative ease and should be able to respond in time if something goes wrong. But I'm still a bit worried that they're too young. It's only been 2 months since they've become genin. Wow, I'm impressed, commented Naruto. I was on the breaking point for a more challenging mission after the first week, and it only took about a month before, well, you were there. You know, thinking back on your first C rank mission doesn't make me feel any better. I may be a jonin now, but even I'm not sure I would be able to defeat someone like Momoiki Zabuza, said Iruka. And that was a 1 in a million chance encounter, responded Naruto. The odds of you running into someone like Zabuza and Haku are nothing. Even if you do run into a missing ninja, I know you're strong enough to take care of everyone. You know, I would normally expect something like that coming from your mouth to unnerve me a bit, but it actually kind of helps, smiled Iruka. Don't worry, you'll do fine on your mission. I'd like to say I'll see you when I get back, but I've only got a few more days before Barkin puts me back on mission duty, replied Naruto as he gulped down the remainder of his ramen. Well, I'm off. I've got to go find something to wear for my date tomorrow night. It was evening in Konoha, and a certain blonde Uzumaki was whistling as he walked through the streets towards the home of his date for the evening. Despite his objections when he first agreed to this, years ago, Naruto actually found himself excited for the evening. While he was no master at dancing, he had picked up quite a few steps from his lessons in Yukigaku from Princess Kyuki and his own ravenous fangirls, who barely gave him a moment to rest. Still, while the lessons were just plain brutal at times, they had done the job, and now the blonde quickly picked up his pace, wanting to arrive sooner. Currently, Naruto was dressed in a loose black suit with an open-collared dark red shirt, the same color as his cloak. He personally would have liked orange, but somehow he figured he'd get a Yukin strike or two for trying to pull that off, and besides, red was a good color for the dance floor. He has also managed to find a pair of comfortable dancing shoes which he spent all night the previous night breaking in. All of this he got the previous day from Fazaku Maikigo, the first clothing merchant to actually accept Naruto's business with fairness and the provider of not only his old orange jacket, but also that awesome kimono he got for the festival before leaving. As he arrived at the Hyuga compound, Naruto was greeted by Neji. I see that you can still manage to clean up rather well, said Neji as he scanned the blonde over. That dress will do just fine for your night. Just enough that you can manage to present yourself well, yet loose enough that you shouldn't have a problem moving. And if I'm correct, Maikigo-san's work. Naruto nodded. Good, then you should have absolutely no problems. But still, you couldn't do something about that rat's nest of hair you have. If it's anything like his father's, trying to groom it is near impossible, commented Hiashi as he walked to greet Naruto. I remember trying to help him out at his wedding, and if I'm not mistaken, we only succeeded in making his hair even messier, and that was after about 3 gallons of styling gel. Hello Hiashi-san, bowed Naruto in respect to the father of his date. And good evening to you as well, Naruto. My daughter will be out momentarily, commented Hiashi. Naruto-kun, called out a sweet voice from the direction of the home after a few moments, and Naruto finally caught a glimpse of Hinata. Naruto's beautiful girlfriend was dressed in a long dark purple dress that was frilled from the waist down to allow for the movement she would need on the dance floor. Unlike the dress from their first time to the Flaming Leaf Inn, which had now been renamed the Dancing Flame, Hinata's dress was a little more open than last time as the shoulders were completely exposed with the exception of the straps and it cropped down to just below her n. Naruto mentally groaned as it still wasn't quite cropped low enough to show her cleavage, but still it was a step forward from last time, and showed off her figure rather well until the dress fell straight down after her hips, and that was enough to satisfy Naruto's eyes for the moment. Oh yeah? Definitely looking forward to tonight, thought Naruto. That reminds me, I'm see you off for tonight, Kurama. Oh sure, take all the fun for yourself, groaned Kurama. Really, you're going to be like that? Replied Naruto, rolling his eyes. Nah, I'm just joking. Have some fun. Although you could let me take over for lunch tomorrow. I've been hearing good things about this yakitori shop in town, replied Kurama, who had picked up a strong liking to yakitori ever since Naruto let him out for a bit during his trip. I'll think about it, replied Naruto before seeing the mental link between him and Kurama and turning to his date. You look amazing tonight, Hinata-chan. Thank you, Naruto-kun, blushed Hinata. Taking each other's hand, Naruto and Hinata left the Hyuga estate towards the Dancing Flame. The couple made their way through the village, during a warm late spring evening. Everyone was going about their own business, either not noticing the young couple walking amongst them or stopping and, awing, at some of the memories that the older generations had of their own young romances. As they arrived at the location of the new Dancing Flame, Naruto was amazed at how exactly the place changed. It had gone from a rather ordinary and plain building that kind of just blended into the surrounding blocks to a warm building that just drew attention. Overall, the building was in a flame shape with the entrance from the street being the tip of the flame. In the middle of the building, there was AC out resembling a smaller flame, open to the atmosphere. This was the dance floor and it was colored blue with the building being a mixture of orange and red, helping to give the impression that the restaurant itself was a flame dancing on top of a candle. As Naruto and Hinata entered through the main entrance, they were led down a warmly lit hallway out of entryway until the room opened up into the main dining room. Like the entire restaurant, the dining room was warm and lively with it wrapping around the dance floor with the entire room open to the dance floor, and as such the evening air. Wow, this place is just. Naruto was left speechless at the place he'd be spending his evening with the most beautiful girl in Konoha. Neji-Nisan was right. This place is incredible, commented Hinata. However, Neji was also right about the place being Konoha's biggest hotspot as every table was filled and there were even quite a few people sitting on couches along the side of the restaurant. Well look who it is. Welcome to the Dancing Flame, Hyuga-san and Uzumaki-san, greeted the familiar face of Rikinu Satonara. This place is just simply amazing, Tobayo! Exclaimed Naruto. It is, isn't it? And thankfully, it was just what my husband needed to pull him out of the slump he was in from seeing the old restaurant demolished, chirped Rikinu. Anyways, I assume you're here for the reservation Hyuga-san made in your name a few months ago. Yes please, replied Naruto. Very well, let me go and see if your table is ready and I'll be right back with you, said Rikinu as she went to check on the table reserved for Naruto and Hinata. This is going to be wonderful Naruto-kun, said Hinata after she took a look around and held onto Naruto's arm. You know, when I first heard about this idea, it was probably the last thing I wanted to do. After all, I was afraid I would embarrass you dancing and stuff, but now, I can't wait. Exclaimed Naruto. Your table will be ready in a few moments, said Rikinu as she returned. While we wait, there are a few policies that I believe the two of you are unfamiliar with. The first is that while our dress code is not as strict as it used to be, we do have certain expectations from our guests. Unfortunately, you two have no issues there. What you're both wearing is perfectly fine. Second is that this is a dine and dance establishment. You're free to do both, but that leads me into my third point. Since patrons typically spend a good deal of time here as a result of our dance floor, and from a business standpoint, we can't have our table just acting as some place to set your coats and bags. You will be asked to vacate your table after 90 minutes to make room for other guests. You will still be free to enjoy our dance floor and any seating you may find on the deck directly surrounding the dance floor, and 90 minutes will be more than enough for you to enjoy your food. We understand, said Naruto and Hinata. Also, In an attempt to increase the restaurant's clientele, we have drastically lowered prices. It's 600 ryo, $60, a person, and that includes an appetizer, a main course, dessert, access to the dance floor, and a drink. Unfortunately, we do not allow those under 18 to drink, even if they are chunin rank, as this restaurant serves both shinobi and civilian alike. So you will have to wait a few years before you can sample our wine selections. That's fine, I suppose. Smiling, Naruto and Hinata followed Rikinu around the restaurant towards the back of the dance floor to a table for two that was seated up against a large glass window and had a good look at the dance floor opposite the window. The window itself gave a gorgeous look over the forests behind the restaurant, and seeing as it was getting later in the evening, the moon was also slightly visible through the window in the evening sky. Now, here is our menu. As I told you before we left, our son was on a tour to the Western continents to pick up some recipes. Our menu contains a mix of Western recipes and traditional ones, both are very delicious. Your server will be around momentarily to get your orders, said Rikinu before leaving the couple to their thoughts. Naruto and Hinata looked through the menus, discussing the dish choices with one another. Thankfully, for the recipes that neither were familiar with, primarily the Western ones, there was a description of the dish underneath. After a few moments, the waiter came around to collect their orders. I'll have the gyoza, Japanese out of traditional, for an appetizer. I do want to try this agnola tea with cheese and beef stuffing, said Hinata, going with a comfortable appetizer, yet trying something a little different for the entree. And I'll have some green tea to drink. The waiter took Hinata's order and turned to Naruto as the blonde gave his. I'll have the miso and onion soup. I should have known. It's the closest they have to ramen here, thought Hinata. And I'll go with this balsamic honey glazed salmon, said Naruto, going with something similar to what he ordered the first time, only from the looks of it a Western interpretation of the dish. And I guess I'll have tea to drink as well. Very well, and for dessert? Asked the waiter. Oh, that's easy. 2s of your cheesecake, chirped Naruto, remembering that from the first time they had eaten here, or rather at the old place. Thankfully, the cheesecake dessert that the Flaming Leaf Inn was so well known for was carried over from the previous restaurant. The waiter nodded and walked away with their orders, returning with their tea a few minutes later. Their food arrived maybe 20 minutes later after Naruto and Hinata had finished sharing some more of their stories from the 2 years they were apart. Naruto had told Naruto about the resort town he and Jiraiya had stayed in, and Hinata was most certainly interested in going there someday with Naruto after everything Naruto told her about that place. She was also intrigued by the stories that Naruto had from the Land of Iron, especially all of Hiro's attempts to out-eat Naruto at ramen, which gave her a laugh or two. Thanks to the blonde, Hiro's Uzumaki ramen addiction was kicked into overdrive and he was able to eat 24 bowls by the time Naruto was finished with him, not quite Naruto level, but 24 bowls of ramen would give an Akamaki a good run for their money. Overall, the food did not disappoint. It was exceptional and the best thing Naruto had since he left Konoha, except perhaps for the ramen made by Keirai in the Land of Iron, and Hinata was lost in Western-style pasta that she had chosen. Dessert was the last thing after they were done with their entrees, and as revenge for the last time, Hinata had snatched up both s of cheesecake before Naruto had a chance to do the same, proceeding to tease her blonde boyfriend for a few minutes before falling victim to Naruto's own puppy dog eyes jutsu, still nowhere near as powerful as Hinata's. The dinner may have been delicious, but the time had come for Naruto and Hinata to do what they truly came here for, and that was to dance the night away in each other's arms. Walking out onto the dance floor, they were greeted with a fresh spring breeze as they found their place amongst the other dancers on the open-air dance floor. The next song began playing and slowly, Naruto took Hinata's hand in his own while placing the other one on her waist as Hinata placed hers on his shoulder. A few moments later, and it was Hinata who began to lead, considering that she was probably the more experienced of them even after Naruto's lessons at the hands of the Yukigakure girls. It was one of Hinata's wildest dreams come true, dancing around with her love under a star-filled sky. And as she felt Naruto finally take the lead, she was able to rest her own head against Naruto's shoulder and drift away into her own fantasies. Naruto-kun. He really is pretty good at this. I'll need to thank Princess Kyuki for helping Naruto-kun, thought Hinata. You enjoying yourself, Haim? Asked Naruto. Oh, very much, sir, replied Hinata. They stayed for a few more songs before vacating the dance floor and taking a breather on the back porch of the restaurant. It really is beautiful tonight, commented Hinata. It is, and that's not the only thing that's beautiful, charmed Naruto, coming up from behind Hinata before leaning on the railing directly next to her and allowing Hinata to rest up against him. You know, being away for 2 years made me realize something, but it was tonight that made me realize just how true that is. And what is that? Asked Hinata, hoping Naruto was going to say what she thought he was building up to. Being away for that time and being here with you tonight has made me realize it is true, that I do love you, Hinata-chan. Now, 2 things would most likely happen here. The first was that Hinata would go completely red and faint, but thankfully that was not the case. Thankfully, her blush stopped at a warm light red and she managed to throw herself into Naruto's arms, pressing her lips firmly against his. It was official, Naruto knew her feelings for him, which is what ignited their relationship, and now Naruto had confirmed his feelings for her. Tsunade was wiping a tear away from her eye as she looked up from the crystal ball, which had somehow been focused on a certain couple enjoying the joys of young love. So how's it going? Called out a white-haired man from the window. Can't you ever use the door, Jiraiya? Said the irritated Hokage. I'm a ninja, so no. Anyways, there's something important that I need to discuss with you, said Jiraiya. It regards Orochimaru. Sighing and putting the crystal ball away, Tsunade slipped into Hokage mode. What do you have? My spy network has located one of his bases. It's located just south of the Land of Tea in the Land of Seas, said Jiraiya. We are pretty sure it is one of his major bases and one of the 2 we are aware of that is responsible for Orochimaru's research regarding bloodlines. Tsunade pulled out a book that contained the pending missions waiting to be assigned and turned to the C-rank mission section. I wonder. What's that, Tsunade? It's a C-rank mission request from the Land of Seas. They've reported multiple disappearances of fishermen and have asked us to send a team to investigate into the matter. All they want is to locate the disappearances of their fishermen and then they would go from there. I was actually going to give this to Anko's team in a few days after they return back from the current mission, but... So you think the disappearances are linked to Orochimaru? Asked Jiraiya. It wouldn't be the first time. If this mission really does involve Orochimaru, then it should be a S rank if Orochimaru himself is encountered, said Tsunade. How certain are you that one of Orochimaru's bases are in the Land of Sea? I'm almost positive that my spy network has come across one of his major bases, replied Jiraiya. Tsunade thought for a moment before pulling out another book and flipping to a few pages. I see, replied Tsunade. What is he up to? He's been quiet for too long and I don't have a good feeling about this. I also should remind you that he has an Uzumaki girl in his custody. Whether she's a cohort or a prisoner, I do not know, said Jiraiya. You know because of that, Naruto's going to want in on any mission dealing with Orochimaru. Yeah, he's set on finding the remains of the Uzumaki clan, the closest thing he has to family and he knows Orochimaru has her, said Tsunade. I'll think on it and form the teams tomorrow, have them set out the next day. It was rather late, nearly midnight and later than any time Hiashi had allowed Hinata out before he left. For Hinata, the only way this evening could have honestly been better, was if she had a ring on her finger, but even she realized that was still quite a few years off. Still, Naruto had actually said that he loved her directly to her face and she couldn't be happier. Naruto was relishing in the feeling of having Hinata close to him as the 2 of them walked through the nighttime air. A huge weight had been taken off of his shoulders when he told Hinata he loved her and that she practically threw herself at him. He figured that she wouldn't reject it, but anything like that was always a bit nerve-wracking, especially for someone who hadn't known what love truly was for the first 12 years of his life. He did love her with all his heart and Naruto would do whatever it took to keep his princess safe, including suddenly pushing her out of the way of a random tiger out offline out if beast thing that suddenly pounced upon the spot where they were standing. Naruto! Shouted Hinata as she landed on her feet, quickly raising her guard as Naruto did the same and re-established the mental link with Kurama. Hey Kit, this was earlier than I expected. I thought I wouldn't be talking to you until late in the morning after the 2 of you woke up in the same bed and after mating, said Kurama, making Naruto blush. Now's not the time, you Ero Kitsune. Some freak of a lion thingy just attacked us out of the blue. Shouted Naruto as Kurama's senses synced with Naruto's. Naruto and Hinata quickly went back to back as 5 more lions surrounded them. What the hell is this? Replied Naruto as one of the lions pounced towards them. Not having a kunai or any sort of weapon on him to fend off the beast, Naruto resorted to an old-fashioned Rasengan, causing the beast to suddenly tear apart into ink. Hinata struck with a quick wind-infused palm directly down the middle of one of the lions as it collapsed into ink. As they finished off the remaining 4 lions, both Naruto and Hinata sensed a negative emotion out of chakra signature, depending on who it was, coming from down the alleyway to their side. When they looked, they saw a boy sitting on top of the roof who had skin that was easily paler than Hinata's, black hair, and a black jack that see off just above his stomach. Yeah, this guy's definitely suspicious, growled Naruto. He's wearing a Konoha headband. Who the hell is he? We need to take him to Hokage-sama, replied Hinata, getting a nod from Naruto. Before they had a chance to move though, about a dozen more lines emerged from a scroll that the attacker had just scribed something on. Looking at one another, Naruto and Hinata nodded before biting their thumbs. Summoning jutsu. Summoning jutsu. 2 puffs of smoke appeared and a Naruto-sized Gamakichi appeared along with a beautiful white tiger about the same size. Yo, what's up Naruto? You're all dressed up, got a hot date or something? Greeted Gamakichi. Well, I was on a date until we got jumped by that guy, said Naruto, pointing towards the pale attacker. I see. He should know better than to attack such a pretty lady then, glared Gamakichi before leaping into battle with the lions. Hinata-sama, how may I be of service? Spoke the tiger in a feminine voice. Nishiko, I need you and Gamakichi to take care of those beasts that attacked us while Naruto-kun and I capture their conjurer, ordered Hinata, earning a bow from the tigress before said tigress charged into battle and Naruto and Hinata made their own charge towards their attacker. Naruto Rasengan through one of the lions that got in their path while Hinata just spun and ducked underneath another one, only for that one to earn a vicious S from Nishiko's claws. Shadow Clone Jutsu, called out Naruto, making 3 clones of himself as he closed in on the attacker, jumping and drawing the attention of his opponent. The pale boy drew the tipless tanto he had on his back and Naruto was wishing he had brought his sword with him, or at least one of his kunai. Still, Naruto sent his clones on AS attack to attempt to subdue the attacker. The attacker dodged the first 2 clones and used his blade to disperse the other 2, however, the clones were never meant to subdue him. The pale attacker realized this just in time to avoid a chakra-infused strike from behind. Hinata's distraction gave Naruto the opportunity to land an open palm on the pale boy's back. Fuin, paralyzing seal. The attacker dropped to the ground as all mobility left his body, courtesy of Naruto's seal. Now, you won't be giving us any problems for some time. Let's go see Barken, said Naruto. Naruto-kun, shouted Hinata as she pointed towards the attacker, her eyes noticing something odd with his chakra. Indeed something was different as the attacker melted into a puddle of ink. What? Damn it, where the hell did that bastard go? Exclaimed Naruto as he frantically tried to sense the pale boy. Turning to Hinata, the Hyuga beauty shook her head, not being able to see him with her Byakugan. Barken, shouted Naruto as he disregarded knocking on the door to the Hokage's office to simply barge right in. Despite it being nearly midnight, Tsunade was still at her desk, going over multiple files that Jiraiya and his spy network had just acquired. What is it, brat? Can't you see I'm busy and on the verge of passing out? Shouted the exhausted Hokage. Sorry for the interruption, Hokage-sama, bowed Hinata as she closely followed her boyfriend. Some bastard wearing a Konoha headband attacked us out of the blue. Rambled Naruto. What did you do now? Groaned Tsunade, figuring Naruto had done something to provoke this attack. Tsunade-sama, it wasn't Naruto-kun's fault. We were walking back from dinner when we were suddenly jumped by multiple lions made out of ink. We tried to apprehend the attacker but once Naruto-kun placed his paralyzing seal on the attacker, he turned to ink as well, explained Hinata, causing Tsunade to rub her temples in frustration. The last thing she needed at midnight was a potential spy in the village. Tsunade made a quick signal with her hand and an Anbu appeared. A moment later, the Anbu disappeared, going to investigate the scene where Naruto and Hinata were attacked with hopes of finding the renegade. Naruto's attention was quickly drawn to what was on Tsunade's desk, the picture from a certain snake's file catching his gaze. Barken. Tsunade nearly facepalmed herself for being so careless to leave the Orochimaru files open on her desk, but it was midnight and Naruto would most likely learn sooner or later. Jiraiya just gave me the location of one of his bases. Tsunade saw that Naruto was about to speak, but stopped him before words could leave his mouth. I know you want in, right? Yes, please, replied Naruto. Orochimaru has her and if there's a chance I can save her from Orochi team, I've gotta take it. Her? Asked a concerned Hinata. She's that Uzumaki I told you about from my trip to Izu. To me, she's family, kind of like you and Neji see each other, replied Naruto. There's no way I'm going to let Orochimaru continue keeping her captive any longer, Tobio. A warm smile appeared on Hinata's face. Naruto was right. To him, this Uzumaki girl was family, and considering Naruto hasn't known what having a family was like until his time in the Land of Iron, she understood how he felt completely. If that was Neji in Orochimaru's grasp, she would stop at nothing to save him from the snake as well. Hokage-sama, I would also like to request being on the mission as well. Tsunade thought for a moment on this. Naruto, considering you're one of the few in this village who actually has experience dealing with Orochimaru and his experiments, I was going to assign you to the mission already, said Tsunade, earning a sincere thank you from Naruto. And now that I think of it, I think I might have a place for you on the mission team's Hinata. I won't guarantee you anything at this moment, but I'll call the team assigned to it for briefing tomorrow. I understand, Hokage-sama, replied Hinata. Good. Now get out of here. I'm tired and can't have a loud gaki keeping me up all night. Shouted Tsunade, throwing them out of her office and passing out on her desk. This wasn't her first late night on the job recently. Good afternoon, Sakura-chan, chirped Naruto as he passed his pink-haired teammate in the street the following day. Sakura seemed distracted by something and Naruto figured a simple cheerful greeting would help. Ha. Oh. Hey Naruto, replied Sakura in a depressed voice. What's wrong Sakura-chan? Asked Naruto. He should have been back last night, replied Sakura. Tsunade Shosho said they'd be back by week's end. You're talking about Sasuke, aren't you? Continued Naruto, getting a nod from Sakura. Sakura-chan, I'll be completely honest, I never expected him to be back by week's end. This is Kakashi-sensei we're talking about. Kakashi would be late to his own funeral, said a familiar voice from behind Naruto and Sakura. Turning around, there was Kurenai and her team, minus Shino. Hinata-chan. Chirped Naruto, both of them still on cloud 9 from the previous night. Naruto received a warm smile from Hinata. Sakura let out a disappointed sigh before laughing a bit. I suppose you're right, Kurenai-sensei. Now that I think of it, I'd be worried someone was impersonating them if Kakashi-sensei was actually on time. Cha. When Kakashi-sensei gets back I'm going to pound some punctuality into that tardy head of his. Don't worry Sakura-chan, he'll be back soon and then maybe the two of you and me and Hinata could all go on a double date sometime, suggested Naruto, pulling Hinata to his side. Perhaps. Hey speaking of dates, so how was it last night? Asked Sakura. It was amazing. I can't wait to go back, squealed Hinata. Too bad we couldn't make another reservation sooner than 4 months from now. The wait on that place is insane, replied Kurenai. And just so you know, Asuma and I have already reserved that building for the day of our wedding. Really? That's going to be some wedding then? Exclaimed Hinata. Hey, I don't suppose we could move on from this little chat. Akamaru and I came to train, not to gossip, called out Kiba. Sorry Kiba-kun, we kind of got carried away here, apologized Hinata, rubbing the back of her head, much like the blonde next to her. Unfortunately, before they could set out to the training ground, an Anbu appeared in front of the group. Said Anbu wore a cat-like mask with red and green markings. Behind the mask, you could tell that he had short brown hair. Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, Hyuga Hinata, Inazuka Kiba, you are all to report with me to Hokage-sama for a mission briefing. All 4 of us. That's kind of a surprise. I wonder what the mission will be, asked Sakura. Naruto however, already had a good guess what the mission was about. Alright Akamaru. Time for some action, cheered Kiba, earning a bark from Akamaru. You got that right. We're gonna kick some bastards Sorry Kurenai-sensei, apologized Hinata. No worries. Good luck on your mission and I'll see you when you get back, replied Kurenai as the four Chunin left to follow the Anbu to Tsunde's office. Enter, called out Tsunade as she heard a knock on her office's door. The door opened and in walked the Anbu with Naruto, Hinata, Sakura, and Kiba following closely behind. Well, if it isn't the Gaki. I see you're no longer a shrimp, called a familiar voice to Naruto. Looking over to the source of the voice, it was none other than the ex-demon of the hidden mist, Momoiki Zabuza, Haku standing next to him. Zabuza, it's certainly been a while. How come you didn't show up at the restaurant with Haku? Asked Naruto. You know the usual, enemies, kicking a. You were hiding from Bushy Brows Sensei, weren't you? Asked Naruto, earning a sigh of defeat from Zabuza. I can't stand him anymore. Where is that bastard Kakashi? I'm going to him the next time I see him for leaving me alone with that spandex freak. Take a number and get in line, replied Sakura. You're not the only one who has a bone to pick with him. Ah, is the big bad scarecrow keeping your precious boy toy away from you at night? Taunted Zabuza, causing a tick mark to appear on Sakura's forehead and the sound of cracking knuckles to be heard throughout the office. Alright, that's enough everyone. Ordered Tsunade. Now we're just missing one and we can get this started. Huh, who are we missing? Asked Naruto. I don't know. Those mummies of advisors said they had a perfect person for this mission, replied Tsunade. Flashback, earlier that morning. Tsunade was going over files pertaining to the mission regarding Orochimaru when the two village elders, Utatane Koharu and Mitokado Homaru, entered her office without knocking. Can I help you? Asked an obviously irritated Tsunade. She had not gotten much sleep and she was trying to put all her attention into this Orochimaru mission. It has come to our attention that you are planning on sending Naruto on a mission, stated Homaru. You know he's no ordinary child. He's one of our valuable Jinchuriki. Damn it. How the hell did they find out? Thought Tsunade. Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki was actually widely known throughout the older generations in the village, but Tsunade had fought hard to keep Fu's Jinchuriki status on a need-to-know only basis. In short, that meant that the only ones who knew were the clan heads, the Aburame clan, her group of friends, and her team once she was placed on a team until she became Chunin. She had never intended for the elders to get a hold of that bit of information. And yes, we are aware of the presence of the Jinchuriki of the Nanabe in this village. And while we are pleased that you have acquired a valuable power for the village, you should not have kept us in the dark, explained Koharu. But back to the matter regarding Naruto. Because he's a Jinchuriki, we need to keep him here, where we can keep an eye on him to ensure that nothing happens to disrupt the seal, or he gets captured by some enemy. Surely it won't be too long before Akatsuki begins making their move. Thankfully, it sounds like they aren't aware of the status of Naruto's relationship with the Kyuubi, thought Tsunade. Them getting a hold of that would possibly be the worst thing that could happen to Naruto at this point in time. If they found out Naruto had full control over the Kyuubi's power, they'd do everything imaginable to bend that power to their will. I understand your concerns, but keeping Naruto locked in the village would be a waste. Even you have to admit that before he left, Naruto was already proving himself as a capable shinobi, and based on the reports from my teammate, Naruto's abilities have only improved drastically. I won't put those abilities of his to waste when they can be better put towards something important, like taking out a significant threat to Konoha. Besides, what if Akatsuki came after Naruto? He would be here in the village when Akatsuki attacked, putting numerous people in danger. He can be better protected in the field with his team when there's no one around to become an unnecessary casualty. Not to mention, he will be constantly moving if he's on missions, making it harder for Akatsuki to get a lock on his current location, explained Tsunade. And what if you're wrong and one of our enemies get a hold of the Kyuubi? Or what if Iwa sends an even stronger strike team to him? He's in the books now, placing an even bigger target on him, argued Homaru. What will you do if he does get himself captured or K? What if our enemies gain a significant advantage over us? Then I'll do what I must to ensure the safety of Konoha. As God I'm Hokage, I'll even put my life on the line if that means saving a single life. Besides, I know Naruto better than you ever will and I can assure you he won't fail, declared Tsunade. And in the end, I am Hokage. You can tell me to keep Naruto in the village all you want, but he falls under my jurisdiction. You two may not fall under the same category as the Civilian Council, but you don't have the powers to encroach into my territory. That may be, but we do have some powers. We will choose a member to add to Naruto's team, conceded Homaru. But Naruto's already a part of a 4-man team, stated Tsunade. Hitaki Kakashi and Uchiha Sasuke may not have returned yet, but they are still the 3rd and 4th members on the team. Well then perhaps this will give you an opportunity to experiment with that idea you had regarding adding a 5th member to teams, stated Koharu. Tsunade growled a bit as the mummies had just used one of her better ideas, besides placing a medic on every squad, against her. Tsunade was thinking of making 5-man teams out of the Konoha 15 and their senseis, sending 4 members of each team out on missions while keeping the 5th back in Konoha on standby. This would allow for some flexibility in team formation depending on what the mission required, give one member a chance to rotate between a period of rest where they could work on honing their own skills, and if need be, form a backup or relief squad out of the 4/5 on standby. Fine, growled the busty Hokage. Very well, enter, Danzo, called out Koharu. End flashback. Tenzo, you can remove your mask. You are being reassigned to the regular forces for the time being, said Tsunade to the masked Anbu present. Everyone watched as the Anbu nodded and removed his mask, revealing a man to be in his mid-auto late 20s wearing a Happuri-style forehead protector, kind of like the Nadaime. Also, you'll be known as Yamato for the duration of your assignment. I understand, Hokage-sama, replied Yamato. I also want you and Naruto to remain here after the mission briefing for a moment, said Tsunade. Hi, replied Naruto and Yamato before a knock was heard on the door. Tsunade called for the person to enter and everyone turned to see who the final member of the team was. Hello, called out the final member with a creepy smile. You, shouted Naruto with a shocked look on Hinata's face. Barkin, that's the bastard who attacked us last night. He's also the final member of the team, stated Tsunade. It was obvious that she wasn't too fond of the pale boy either. What? You can't be serious, Barkin, argued Naruto. He attacked me and Hinata-chan. He should be arrested and taken to the interrogation. I apologize about that. I just wanted to gauge my new team members' abilities, spoke the boy. And I must say I was disappointed at how weak you were. Do you have any balls at all? Hinata instantly went bright red at the mention of Naruto's genitals and everyone else was now trying to hold back a raging Naruto who now wanted to K the pale boy more than before. What the hell did you say? Raged Naruto as he struggled against his restraints, trying to get to the boy who was simply smiling. How about I kick your again and then we'll see WHOS smiling? Enough, shouted Tsunade. Insults and threats aside, there's a mission at hand. Our intelligence has discovered the existence of one of Orochimaru's larger bases in the Land of Sea. About a week ago, we received a mission request from a village in the Land of Sea, ranked as a C rank mission, to investigate the disappearance of a number of fishermen. However, with the recent discovery of Orochimaru's activity, we believe the two to be connected. As such, this mission is no longer a C rank and is a rank at the very minimum, S rank if by some chance you encounter Orochimaru himself. The objectives of this mission are as follows. You are to investigate the base and determine what it is that Orochimaru is up to. You are also to find the missing fishermen and rescue any prisoners you may be able to find amongst the base. We believe this base to be one of Orochimaru's main bases that focus on bloodlines. What exactly he is doing with them is for you to find out. Now given that Orochimaru is involved, it is very likely that some of his prisoners are beyond saving. However, should you encounter any prisoners that can be saved, you will do such, explained Tsunade. There are also a few individuals that you are to try and discover the locations of. Tsunade held up a few pictures. The first is Yakushi Kabuto, Orochimaru's right-hand man. He is an A-rank threat, at least, to this village and a dangerous opponent. If it is possible, capture him and return him to the village for interrogation. The second is Orochimaru himself. An S-rank ninja and even with your team, it would be ill-advised to engage him. The last of these three is a girl who we believe to be of the Uzumaki clan. Wait, you mean like Naruto? Asked Sakura. Yes. As it stands, Orochimaru does hold someone with Uzumaki blood, and while her access to the Azushiogakuren libraries has been restricted thanks to Jiraiya, but should Orochimaru find a way to break through Jiraiya's barrier seals, then the knowledge he will have access to will most definitely prove detrimental to the village, stated Tsunade. Just to give you an idea, The Uzumakis were allies with Konoha, and many of the seals this village uses in forms of protection is derived from the Uzumaki sealing arts. Should Orochimaru get a hold of some of the sealing knowledge inside that library, it is very likely he will find a way to bypass many of our defenses. Everyone nodded in understanding. As for the girl, we have no idea whether she is actually working for Orochimaru willingly, or if she was forced into his service as a prisoner, stated Tsunade. For the moment, assume the former, but capture and secure her and bring her back to the village, and we will sort out her role in Orochimaru's service here. Now I'm sure you're wondering why there are 8 of you here, when a typical team is composed of a 3 or 4-man cell, asked Tsunade, earning a nod from a few. In short, there's going to be 2 teams. I would have preferred to have sent teams Kakashi and Kurenai, but seeing as Kurenai is now on maternity leave, Shino is away on clan business, and Kakashi is who knows where with Sasuke, I had to improvise a little. There's going to be a search and retrieval team who is responsible for locating and liberating any prisoners, as well as obtaining any valuable information regarding Orochimaru's operations. That team will consist of Haruno Sakura, Hyuga Hinata, Inazuka Kiba, and Sai. Tsunade pointed at the newcomer. Now, considering this is Orochimaru we are dealing with, opposition is to be expected. Uzumaki Naruto, Yuki Haku, Momoiki Zabuza, and Yamato will be assigned to the strike team. Your job is to eliminate any opposition you may encounter. Of course, the most troubling enemy you could face is Orochimaru himself, but it is highly likely you will encounter some of his curse seal test subjects. All 4 of you have some level of experience dealing with Orochimaru's curse seal ninja and his henchmen. Hi, saluted everyone upon learning their assignments. Lastly, Yamato will be the team leader with Haruno Sakura acting as lead of the search team should the teams become separated, stated Tsunade. Now, you're all dismissed. You'll depart for the land of sea tomorrow. It should be about a 3 to 4 day trip, so I expect the mission will take about 2 weeks. Everyone bowed before leaving the room, except for Yamato and Naruto. Do you want to do it, or should I? Tsunade asked Naruto as the blonde Jinchuriki activated his own form of privacy seals on the office. Now Yamato, there's a secondary mission I have for you. Given who is on my team, I assume you want me to keep an eye on the Kyuubi and ensure Naruto doesn't lose control, said Yamato. HMPH, figures, snorted Kurama, momentarily taking control. So you must be Kurama, asked Tsunade, getting a nod from Kurama. Despite Naruto reporting back with Jiraiya, and Naruto being in the village for a week, she had yet to actually talk to Kurama himself. Tell me you're not actually having this human play the part of your little watchdog. I already said that I'm not a threat to your village unless you do something to betray the kid, said Kurama. Now, Yamato was confused. Oh, that's right. Yamato, meet Kurama. You probably know him as the Kyuubi, said Tsunade, acquainting the two. Immediately, Yamato stiffened. KKKYUUBI. He shouted before 4 wooden pillars shot up, surrounding the Naruto form Kurama. This immediately caused Kurama to raise an eyebrow. A wood user, eh? Haven't seen one of those since the Shodai. So I take it you really don't trust me? Asked Kurama. I've looked through and analyzed everything from the Yondaim's notes from that night to everything Jiraiya and Naruto have told me. While I'll admit I'm still a little weary, I'm convinced you won't try anything funny, assured Tsunade. And no, Yamato is not here to keep you under control. I'm not, asked a now dumbfounded Yamato. Tsunade shook her head. This is to remain a secret. Most of the team you have been assigned to already knows, but Sai does not, and I want to keep it that way. You see, the elders and Danzo forced my hand, and as a result, Sai was added to the team. He's from the Root division of Anbu, under the command of Danzo. I've been trying to usurp Danzo's control over his little Anbu regiment, but with little success. Your mission, Yamato, is to keep an eye on Sai. I suspect Danzo has another agenda, which would explain why he was so interested in getting one of his agents on the team. You're also there to act as a cover for Naruto and Kurama. Danzo doesn't know that Naruto can utilize the Kyuubi's power to its fullest, and I intend to keep it that way. I see, replied Yamato, looking over at Naruto out of Kurama. Naruto, you already understand not to use too much of Kurama's powers unless it's as a last resort, said Tsunade, getting a nod from Naruto. I need you to be extra careful on how you use that power around Sai or anyone from now on. I suspect Danzo's going to try to make a move soon to try and sway you under his control. I see. I guess that means I'll have to be extra careful then as well whenever I let Kurama take control, replied Naruto. You let the QB control you on a regular basis, gulped Yamato. Sure. I let him get yakitori earlier for lunch, although I would have preferred ramen, replied Naruto nonchalantly. Hokage-sama, you are serious about me not having to worry about the QB? Asked Yamato once again. Believe me, it was a surprise to me at first as well, but you'll get used to it. Kurama's on our side, said Tsunade, handing Yamato a few papers. Those detail the whole QB attack 15 years ago. Kurama wasn't behind the attack, he was controlled by a man the Yondaime believed to be Uchiha Madara, or someone with a similar power as Madara. Yamato took a moment to look over the doents. I see. This is troubling then, commented Yamato. So I'm to keep an eye on Sai and help to hide the fact that Naruto and the QB. I would prefer it if you refer to me by my name, commented Kurama. Sorry, Kurama is it? Asked Yamato, getting a nod from Kurama. So I'm to keep an eye on Sai and to help hide the fact that Naruto can fully control Kurama's powers, alongside the regular mission objectives. Correct. Jutsu. Fuinjutsu. Paralyzing seal. The seal applied immobilize the target's movements. Rank. B. Uses. Naruto, Jiraiya. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.